So welcome back to this tutorial. And today we want to understanding Crud using Node.js and MongoDB. Now, if you've come across a database, SQL, then you understand about the Crud, which basically it's an abbreviated word and it stands for create, retrieve, update, and delete. So are you able to perform this? Are you able to create an application or a full stack application that does the CRUD, that does the create, the retrieving of data, the updating of data, and the delete of data? I know this is actually like the hallmark of the height of understanding Node.js and MongoDB, although we still have other topics to come across, especially when it comes to the APIs and the rest. And today I just want us to come up with an application which will make us understand the application of code, since it entails a lot of features. And yeah, this is actually how we can get now to relate the Node.js and MongoDB as a database. So Node.js is actually like an open source environment. And then the MongoDB is just a database. But remember, there are different other types of databases. But this falls under the NoSQL database because it doesn't actually use the relations or the tables to store the data, but it ends up using what you call the keys. It ends up using what you call the keys. Now, so in line to this, so in line to understanding CRUD using Node.js and MongoDB, there are some prerequisites or some of the requirements that you will need. And number one, automatically, you will need to have the Node.js with you. So this, of course, you have to download Node.js and install. Secondly, you need also to have the MongoDB, MongoDB database. And there are actually like two ways. We have an online one, and you can access MongoDB in both areas, whether it's online or offline. Offline is one you have to download, then install, and it will be there within your computer or within your PC. So, and then of course, the third one, you will also need like, let's say the VS Code as your editor. And yeah, so we will be able to get all this information, which I know by default you might have, but on the installation part, I'm going to skip the installation since already I have all this. The only thing I'm going to show you is actually the MongoDB and how you can access them. But the VS Code is the text editor environment, which will be interacting with it all through. Now, just like an overview of MongoDB, Node.js, and CRUD operations, what is the relationship and between all these? Now, remember, when you combine these three, you combine the MongoDB, the Node.js, and CRUD operations, which of course stands for the create, retrieve, update, and delete. This allows you to create a robust full stack application. And if I may get into a little bit detail on each one of these, especially when it comes to MongoDB, you'll find that MongoDB is actually a NoSQL database that stores data in a flexible JSON-like documents. And this makes it easy to work with the data structures that change over time and fit naturally with JavaScript objects. So I don't know whether you've gone through a database, and probably if you've gone through, I don't know whether you've gone to talk about the MongoDB. So you'll find that it's JSON like documents, stores JSON like documents. And for example, there are three things you need to understand here. When we talk about MongoDB, we talk about three things. We talk about the documents, we talked about the collections, and then we talked about the database, you see? So you must know that when we talk about documents, documents are like, they are like tables, because documents in essence are the basic unit of data in MongoDB. So it's more like a table. And this is similar to, let's say, a row in a relational database. So you'll find that in a table, we have a structure, and the structure of a table is always made up of columns and rows. So when you talk about rows, it's more like the documents you're talking about. Then when you come to collections now, collections in MongoDB, it's more of a group of documents. Remember, we've talked about that documents, it is the basic unit in MongoDB, and it is similar to rows in relational database. And relational database are the SQL database. MongoDB are the no SQL database. So collections are similar to what? To tables. So just to know that. And then we have a database now. A database is more of a container for collections. A container for collections. So this means that it will entail, let's say, container for collections. So now you can make some relationship there. You can make some relationship there, because we are talking about the container for collections. If I'm to relate it with the relational database, then this is similar to what? Similar to what we call the schema. Now, in other words, it is actually the database that will have a collection of tables, or that will have a collection of, a collection of collections, or it's a container that carries several collections or carries several tables. So it means that in a database, we can end up having multiple collections, and these multiple collections ends up having multiple documents. So I don't want to get into more detail about the database. Now, about the Node.js, although in my previous tutorials I had given it, you'll find that Node.js is actually a runtime environment. And as long as a runtime environment, it allows you to run JavaScript on the server side. Yes, it's a Node.js. We might not say it's a JavaScript framework, but we can talk of it as a runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript on the server side. So this actually uses different features, and probably can talk about two things there. We have, for example, the NPM, like one of the feature, NPM, which stands for the Node Package Manager. And this is actually the Node.js package manager. Now, what does it mean? It's usually used to install libraries and frameworks. So whenever you want to use a library, you want to use a framework in Node.js. If that framework or that library does not exist, then you have to use NPM to do the installation of such libraries and frameworks. Then here we also have what you call, let's say, the Express.js. So Express.js is a popular framework for building web applications, and also APIs. So you'll find that if you need a framework that you can use, let's say a Node.js framework that you can use for building web applications, for building APIs with Node.js, then you can use what you call the Express.js. So these are a few things to talk about. And then automatically, when it comes to the Crud operations, so since we have VS Code, let me just add, like, we need to talk about the Crud operations, because this is all about this. So in Crud operations, this, of course, you need to know what it stands for: create, read, update, and delete. And of course, these are the 4 basic operations for managing database. For managing data in a database. Now, this, of course, means that when you talk of create, it's all about inserting new data into the database. Read is to retrieve data from the database. Update is to modify existing data in the database. Delete is to remove data from the database. So when you're using these 3, you can actually build a full stack application. And this means that you have the database, the backend, which is comprised of the database, you have the front end, and then, of course, you are able to perform these Crud operations. So there are some factors that we need to take care of, first of all, before we start. So just to know that these are the things we are talking about. And now let's go back to our VS Code. So I'm going to open my VS Code here so that we can start this particular application. Now remember that when you're using Node.js, you can always create a server. Most of the time we have like a port. So your application can run in a port. And for example, if you look at the right bottom, we have like the go live. Normally when you click this go live, any application written here, it's going to be displayed in a browser, but of course it's going to use a port, I think 5000 by default, but you can also change that and create your own server. So the same thing here. If I want my application to run on server, let's say 3000 or port 3000, then I can come here. If I want to make it 3000, you see, any port number, then I can make that. Okay, so let's start our project. So based on our project here, we are going to have, let me just get an area. I know that most of my, some are full, so that we can have this. Yeah, let me have something like here. So let me just create a folder. Let me have all this information here. So going to this folder. So we talk of this is for the folder. Have everything here. Okay, like that. So let me have my own project folder, and this one you can call it node. Let's say Crud. We want to have Crud. So from this point, I'm going to have the file and open that particular folder. So I will come to this part and open this folder. So opening this folder means now that we have our own folder. So this is going to be like our project folder. And through this project folder, we need to run most of our things. We're going to run it on a terminal. So I'll just run and then terminal, then new terminal. So you'll find that we have this terminal now. So by default, you'll find that my terminal is pointing exactly in our project folder. Now, the first thing is to initialize our project. We want to initialize our Node.js project. So how do we initialize our Node.js project? So to initialize Node.js project, and this is going to be like a step-by-step guide. So you have to, if you are creating, probably you can make a follow-up so that you can be, we can actually be on the same page. So if this is our project, then I'll just use the npm. Remember the npm, the Node.js package manager, and this is actually used to install frameworks and probably libraries. So I'll just do init. So I want to initialize my Node.js project. So I'll just do npm init-y and press enter. And through this, there'll be some installation of files. And this is, of course, I'm going to get Node.js If you look at it, that I have the package.json file. So this is exactly what you do whenever you are initializing your project, your Node.js project folder. Now, from this point, the next step for me is, so this folder was not there, but once I initialized npm init -y, then automatically there was a create, this .json file, package.json file was created automatically. Now, I want to also install the necessary packages. I want to install the necessary packages. Because it is very important for us to do the installation of these packages. So there are packages that are required. There are packages which are very, very important for us to take note of. And some of these packages are actually there to ensure that we have the right information. We have the right information in every point. So I'm going to do the npm, and then just to speak of these packages, the necessary packages that we need. Now, when we talk about these necessary packages that we need, you'll find that number one, we will get what you call the express. Remember, I talked about the express.js. Express.js, whenever you want to create some, build some web applications and also some APIs, Node.js, you can use Express. Now, this Express is very important because it's actually used as a package. You can actually use it to import. Let's say used in importing express.js to create a web, let's say a web server, to create a web server. So I'm giving you some important ones. Now, this is in line to what? This is in line to, this is actually in line to the application, because at the end of the day, we will require a web, to see the web. So here we need to make sure that once we install this, it's going to give us assurance that express.js is there, which is normally used to create a web server. Now, number two, we will require what you call, let's say, the body parser. Now, this body parser is actually a middleware. It's a middleware to pass incoming requests. Incoming requests, let's say bodies. So it's going to act as a middleware. And look at this. You see, when you are doing the Crud, there'll be inserting, there'll be updating, there'll be deleting. So there'll be information coming forth and back, or back and forth. So we need the body parser, which will act as the middleware. Another one we will expect is what you call the express -unless. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I think handle bus. We will see. So express handle bus. This is going to be act as a template. Or we can talk about is a templating engine to render. Sorry for that. Yeah, let's say templating engine to render HTML views. Now, HTML views, for example, this is a scenario where you have, let's say, index.html, you have about.html, you have service.html. All these are HTML views. So the express handlebar, in fact, is going to be more of an extension. And compared to having the .html the .php, .css. So that is there. And then because our project will entail the database, we also need to have this, what we call the Mongoose. So Mongoose is actually a package or a library that allows us to import the database connection. So whenever you need to have the database connection, especially the MongoDB, then you need to install what we call the Mongoose. So Mongoose is there as a feature or a characteristics that is normally used to importing the database connection. And this is in line to what? MongoDB, because our project will have that MongoDB. And then the last one, probably I need to add a task, although this one is going to act as a collection. It's going to act as a table. It's going to act as our table. But remember, this table is going to be placed automatically on our database, which we'll end up creating when we install the MongoDB. So this task will have to as let's say used to importing the task model. I'm going to create the model to interact with the tasks. Yeah, let's see, tasks collection in the database. Yeah, in the database. So these are the important information, and these are some of the things that we need. So let's come to this part and do the installation of all these. Remember, we will need them. So here you have to do install. Then we'll start with the Express. Give a space. We'll go to Mongoose. Give a space. I can install all of them. Then we have the body. Let's say body parser. You can install all of them at once. And then we have the Express -handle with handlebars. Let's see. Yeah. So here I'm installing how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 libraries or packages. So once I do the installation all at once using the npm install, so I press enter. So once I press enter, let's see what is happening, whether there will be the installation. Let's see. Okay, so Mongoose app is not on this registry. Let's see. So not found, get HTTPS, Mongoose not found. Is not in this registry. Note that you can also install this. Okay. So I will come back to this installation of this. So let's just write the code so that we can see what is happening. So complete log of this is found at this. Okay. So let's come and create these tasks. So number one, I want to create a file. And this file, I'm going to call it index.js. Because if you look at our JSON file, we have this as the main file, index.js. So let us come to index.js first and try import. Let us try import. Because the same packages that I was trying to install are the ones that we will use to import, let us just try and see. So I will come to index.js and start my code. I'll come to index.js and start my code. So here, remember, this is index.js as a comment. So we will create a variables. Let me create a variable called express equals to, and then we have require. So I'm giving like, I need to have express. Okay. Then I need to have const, another one, let's say body parser. Parser, then it's going to be require. So these are more like the file systems that are needed. So I need to have body parser. Body parser. And then I need to have another one, const. Now we have this exp HBS. This one is for the exhibition. Let's say require. And then here I will need to have the express handlebars. Handlebars. Now remember, these are just but the variables. The const is similar to let, similar to var. So these names are just but the variable names. So it's more of a containers that will hold this information. Then come to const. Now we need mongoose equals to, let's say, require. So this mongoose is going to take as, let's say, .db. It's going to be a database. So we'll have a reference of that name. And then we'll have const task. And then this one is going to require now the collection itself. So the collection information is going to be under. So dot, I'm going to create like model. So there'll be a folder called models. And then I have task. So this task is going to have some information. And this is going to act as my collection or my table. And if it's going to be a collection, then automatically it's going to take the documents. So we have like the database, which houses different collections. Then we have different collections having documents. So for this point, I've just managed to get all the required file systems and the required database information, even the collections information. Now, second part here is, let me just, so I want us to start with the handlebars. Let's say the handlebars middleware. Yeah. So from this point, I will just start by, since it's going to be an application, I need to have app. So app, okay, app.engine is giving us this. Okay, let's say engine, and then into bracket, because it's going to be app. Okay, so let me do this. So let's come back here, run terminal, and let me use to npm install so that we can have some of these libraries. Let me start by Express. Let's see what we have here. So Express is already installed. Then I come to Express handlebars. Let's see whether it is there. I think this is what we're having issues with. So there's an error here. Windows ran out of memory. Not enough memory resources available to process this command. Okay, let's come to npm install mongoose. So I think it is the issue of the space. I think I'm having issues with the memory. So let's come like handle bus. expdbs going to be dot engine or even dbs into bracket, then like that. I'll just talk of default layout. It's the default layout. So the default layout is going to be the main. Now, if you know, the main, when I talk about the main, is actually the index.js, because when you come to the package.json, you'll get that main. Main is index.js. So this is actually the file that is going to be displayed. Then I'll come to app. It's supposed to be written as this. Let me just copy and see. Just have like that. Okay. Plus. So instead of this, I'm going to have app. Let's see. It's going to accept this file. Then from here, I'm going to have the same, but instead of that, I'm going to just do set now. So here we are setting the view engine. So what is the view engine? So we want to make sure that the handle bus. Now, what are we doing here? When we talk about the handlers middleware, you see, this is going to be the views. Like if you have different web pages, so different web pages are going to be handled by this middleware, because we will have the Node.js on this other side, we have the Mongodb on the other side. So what comes at the middle is actually the browser. And that browser has to give us the display of all these views. Okay. So let's see what will happen. And now you can see install Mongoose. Okay. Some have installed. Now this one we had issue with the memory, but let's just continue and see. But know that you need Express handlers, you need Mongoose, and then of course, yeah, you also need the body parser. So let's jump to another part. So let's come to the body parser. Now I'm giving this comment so that you can follow it step by step. Now on the body parser, this body parser is going to be in line with the package.json file. So if I can borrow this idea of app.engine, app.use, then into bracket, I want to have the body parser, and then dot URL. Now, what is going to be passed on the body? It is actually a specific URL. This URL should be, so you'll have like URL encoded. And then into bracket, you will assign like the curly brace there, and then just to do the extended, and then full colon, and then false. From here, we need again, so I'm actually borrowing this so that I can have this up. So we have use, and then again, body parser dot JSON. So everything has to be mapped on the JSON file. Everything has to be captured on the JSON file. Now, so this is actually enough to make sure that the packages are captured here, like the file systems, all the middlewares are there to ensure that the information is going to be displayed in a good manner. Now, from this point, now you will start with the home. I don't know if you've gone through the React, you've been talking about the route. So here we can have like the home route. So this home route is going to take like, which is actually my home page. It's more like defining my home page. It's more of defining my home page. So how can I define, or how can we define this home page. So we need to define a home page because it's going to be a blank browser. And then in that, we want a display of like, you see more like a form. We want to display that form where you can add, you can edit, you can delete, you can even update. So here it means now that I'm going to use the app dot, and then I will do get. So from the home, this should be displayed. I have not actually captured the unless. We will still come back to the unless. We will come back to the unless, but I want to do app.get. Since we are going to have our views on one side, we want to do it async to be captured and synchronous. And this is based on two things. One, it is actually the request and the response. We need to get the request and the response. Then with this redirection tool, we want to create a variable called task or tasks. Now remember that we had, let me have task. We have task and then we have tasks here. So let's just use tasks and then /had. Tasks, so constant task. So before we had, let's see, this await task. Now this task now is coming. So we have the task, which is actually there. So task dot, let's say find, and then put like that, and then dot link. So into bracket. And then I'm getting the respond. Then this respond, we need the system to render. Now, which are we rendering? We need to this name. Instead of the main, then we have index. And then this curly brace into bracket, then we have tasks. Then from here, I need to enclose this, Yeah, so this is the home. This is the home route. This is the home route. Now, from here, we need to have this like, you see had task form, let me call it task form. You see, you need to have a form. There will be a display of a form that will allow you to add some files. You see, add task form. So this form, we're going to have like, because it's going to be an app, let's say app, then get into bracket. Then we have, it's going to be task /had. So we will have a file called had. And then again, just the same thing, you need the request and respond. And then again, here we'll have a redirection, but this will not have a lot of information compared to the home route. So what we need here is just to the response to be rendered. So we have res.render, and then equals to, then we need to have had. Just like that. Just like that. Now from here, let's just do like one, let's say process, how form is going to be submitted. So how is form going to be submitted? Let's have a look at it. So I'll come to app.post into bracket. Through the task had, we'll have the asynchronous. Now, the same thing is going to be like the request and the response. And then like that, and then put that bracket there. So from there, we're going to have the const. Let's say the new task. Let me have like new task equals to new task. And then into bracket, then I will have like that. Now, so probably I'm expecting to have some few lines. I'm expecting to have some few lines. So let's say I need to have like the first name. This first name is going to be like requested on the body. So it's going to be captured body. And then it's going to be first name. Request body, first name. Request dot body dot first name. Comma, what else? Let's say the last name. So the same thing, rec dot body. This is how it's going to be displayed. Dot description. And not description, but let last name. So you can have several information here. Let's say we need to have first name, last name. Let's have gender. So for gender, you're going again request body dot gender. So if that is the last one, then you don't need to keep that. So you just give it like that and then come down here. So we have their weight. As a weight, then we have the new task. Now this new task represents whatever new entry, the new entry you are giving. So this entry should be saved and then captured like that. Then we should get the response. Then redirect into bracket dot /. Yeah, so this is actually like the form submission. So what I've done here, I've actually ensured that we have the home page or the main file, which is index. And then we are able to access or get a form. And through this form, we are able to do what? We are able to do what we call the form submission, because once it displays these three fields or these three inputs, we should be in a better position to do what? To insert some values into the database. So remember, it's about the Crud. So it's more like we've done the create or we've done how to add. So there are still other forms we'll require, because if we want to make sure that the form, the entire Crud is well kept, like you're able to update, you're able to delete, then we'll have to create the respective forms and then how the form submission is being done. But for simplicity, so that we can extend later, let's just ensure that the add form actually works. So this is actually like the index dot JSON. And probably one thing is I can come down here, since we need to have like a listening port. I will do like const and then have like port. So which port are we going to listen to? Let's have like process.environment. So env dot port, and then put this concatenation, and then we give like 3000. And then come and do app dot listen. So we want the system to listen from this port. Then I'll have port, comma, then we have these brackets. Okay, from there, I want to have redirection. So here we need also to have like a message so that we can know that console.log into bracket, let's say server has been started on port. Then we have this variable, and then we have like that, and then we're talking about the port. It's going to be a message. So since we have this, I think we have that. Yes. Okay. So since there's no error, I want us to test this server. So the server lies on index.js because we are supposed to listen to 3000. So I want to test how it's going to look like. So I'll just come and talk of node index.js. So here we are talking about a module not found. So we have index.js. So cannot find module express. Okay, there's an error. Okay. No worries, we are not yet done with the coding. So if you come back to the terminal, let's say npm install express. For this one, okay, so let me just stop. I think I was running short of these memories. So let me just close everything. Close everything. So let me make sure that no tool is running at the background. So we have Edge and Microsoft and okay. We can also look at this part. Wow, it's full memory. Okay, so let me just try it again. So it's npm install. I need to have express. First of all, see what is happening here. We still have this issue. Okay, change 69 packages and audit 90 packages in 5 seconds. 30 packages looking for funding. Okay. So found 0 vulnerabilities. Then we also have npm express handlers, handler bar. It's handler bus. Handle bus. Okay. Oh, so it should be install. Let's see what is happening. Okay, so from this, let me talk of npm node index.js. Let's see what happens. Now, based on this, yes, there will be an error because we are not yet done. So there's some things, some files we need to do, module not found. Yeah, so let's go to the next phase now. Let's go to the next phase. Now, the next phase is to create a database file. So I will come to Crud, create a db.js file, db.js file. Now, our database has to come through this. Now, before we do this, I want to take you now to the database. Now, with the database installation, of course, you have to open the browser and then you just type what? Let's say MongoDB. Now, there are two options. One is either you want to use the MongoDB, online. So if you go online, you go to mongodb.com, and then you'll be able to sign up, just to do a sign up of an account. You can just talk of try Atlas free. But for our scenario here, it's just a matter of downloading. It's a matter of downloading. So you have to make sure that you do MongoDB download. It's going to take you to this community server download, and then you scroll, I think downwards here. So you'll be able to see MongoDB community server download, and you can specify the version, the operating system, and then you download. So mine, I downloaded it, and then I had installed it. So this is actually the simple for MongoDB. So what I will do, I'll just click on it. Now with MongoDB, this is the face. This is the face of our MongoDB. And anytime you open this database, you must do the connection. You must connect. And this is something that you will encounter. So if you try to connect, yes, it can go directly. Or for mine, it has successfully connected. And you can see that I have some databases here. So probably some of these databases you don't need to, let's see, Crud, DB, drop database. Now you can drop different databases here. Sometimes if you try to connect, it gives you an error. So that error means you have to start the service as to stop. The MongoDB service has stopped. So you have to go to services and then click services. So from here, just click M and then scroll until you get Mongo. So if you look at this Mongo, you right click and then you start. And that is when it's going to connect. Now, so once you have this is now like the offline database. So suppose I want to create another connection. I just want to start from scratch. So I'll just come to connect and then click what? New window. Just want to have a new window. Now, when it gives me this new window, you'll be able to see this URL. There's this URL for Mongo, :/localhost 27017. This is very important. So let's come to the VS Code here on db.js. So I'll just create a variable, and then I can call it mongoose. And then I'll say require, into bracket, we require the mongoose. Remember, this is the module. This is the module. Then I'll come to down here. I'll talk of mongoose.connect. We want now to connect to the database. Then I'll come here. So this is where I'll get this URL. I will copy and then come to this part and paste it like that. And then in line to this, I will go and connect. You see now it's successfully connected. Now we have a database here, databases. I will click this plus sign so that I can create a what? Database. Now you're given two things here. One is the database name, and then second is the collection name. So database name you need to give. Let's say, for example, it's about student. The database name is about student. It's about school. Let's say school. Yeah, let's talk of school. So that is the name of the database, and then the collection name. Collection is like a table. Then we're talking about, let's say, student. Student. Then click create database. So your database is going to be created. So you have a database called school, and then we have student. Now, whatever files that are going to be captured here, they are going to be stored in form of what? JSON. So if you want to add data, you click on that, and then you can choose whether you want to import JSON or the CSV file or insert document. So if you decide to insert document, this is how it's going to be stored. This is how your data is going to be stored. Now I don't want to do it manually. We will do it via the form. So from here, you have a database called school. So you come to your code, you do /school, because you might end up having multiple what? Multiple databases. So you have to be specific. From here, I'll come to this part. So I need to have like the user, let's say user new URL. Yeah, I just want to have like the URL. The URL now is what is coming from here. So here we will just talk of, true. And then we can have use, let's say, talking about not use, let's say use unified. These are just some dummy dent, let's say topology. It's going to be true. Yeah, so we have that. Then from here, I'll say .10 into bracket, and then into bracket again. And then I'll come here, equals 2. And then from here, I'll just do like that. Now, what is the message? Console.log into bracket. We want to now to make sure that the database is connected. So you can talk of connected. Let's say connected successfully to MongoDB. Connected successfully to MongoDB. Then for us to catch the errors, then we can talk of dot catch into bracket errors. Then we do like that. So this actually requires a lot of practice. Console dot. Now this time around, we want to capture the error. In case there's an error, what message should we get? Let's say error connecting the database. And then error. So here you do like that. And then now which module should be captured? So you just do exports equals to Mongoose, like that. So we want to see now this about the database. This is about the database connection. So you've seen now that how do you connect the database, the MongoDB database to the file. So we have something similar to that. Yeah. So this is actually going to be part 1 of database connection. And you've seen that we've tried to come up with the index.html file, which is actually the main file. And then we have the db.js file. Now from here, we will be required to come up with different other files. And for this scenario, let's just go to, I want to create a folder. So let's create a folder, and this folder, we call it views. Now, under this folder, I want to create another folder. Let me call it layouts. Now, under this layout, we will have a file. We have a file, and this file is going to be the main handle file. So I'll create a file there. Okay, let's see. I want to have a file here. So remember, this is a folder, or this is not a folder. So just delete it. But under these views, we want to have another folder. We call it layouts. So there's a folder inside. There's a folder inside this file. So from this file, I'm going to create a file. I want to call it main dot. So the extension now we're using is handlebars. We're using what you call the handlebars. So let's see. This one is yes. So you can see the path. And then I need one file under views. So under views, I need like add dot handlebars. So it's an extension. It's an extension. Handlebars is an extension like HTML. But this one, we are using the Node.js just to display these handlebars because already we have a what? We have installed the feature or that package or that library. So I will come to this file called main handlebars. And on main handlebars, I will just use, just create the basic HTML structure. And with the basic HTML structure, I will just capture a link, not even a link, but let me just have a div here. Let's say div, and then using Bootstrap, I can give class, let's say container empty5. So this part is going to be the body. So I'm going to have like that, and then type body, just like that. So this is going to act as the main file. Remember, this main points to the index.js file. Now let's come to the add handlebars. On add handlebars, we are going to have, let's talk of H1. And here, let me call it adding tasks. Now coming below it, I need now to have a form. So the form action has to come from, remember we have the action here, especially when it comes to the index.html, we have this. So here, this is what I'm going to copy and then come to the add handlebars. So I'll just come and paste it there. Task add, that is the action. And then there'll be the method. So the method is automatically post. So here it means that I need to have the input. Let's talk of the input. We have the text. Let me use like class control. It's a form control. Name. Let me have like first name. And then talk of required. So this one is going to be like, let's have like the label. Label. And then talk of the first name. So these two, this and this one, let me have it under div. So I want to have it under div. This is just the common form. So you have like that. Yeah, so first name. Then of course the label, you're going to give it as first name. So the second, I'm going to copy the same. And for this one, I'm going to paste it here. So this one is going to carry the last name. Remember, when you come to the index, we have this first name, last name, and gender. So we go back there. This is going to be the last name. Then it's going to be the last name. And then this one is going to be the gender. This one is going to be the gender. This one is going to be the gender. Okay, then here I'm going to give a class. Let's call it form group. All these are form group. Form group. Then here we're going to have class home group. And then the last thing is to have like the button. So we should have the button. So the type is submit, and the class is btn. Let's say btn primary. Remember this kind of bootstrap, and then submit. Yes, so this is going to be our form. This is going to be our form. This is going to be our form. Then the last thing I want us to do is to have, so remember we have the DBS, the db.js file. So I want us to create one more folder. Now this one more folder is going to be, so I'm just going to create it from directly folder. I don't want it to be under views, but let's see where it is. Yeah. So I want to have a folder called models. Now, if you remember under index, it's under index. Yeah, under index, yeah, we had these models, then task. So there will be a file called task.js. So I want to come under models. I will create a file and then call these tasks. Let me call it task.js file. So here again, I'm going to somehow repeat what I have in the db.js. So const, we will have mongoose equals to, then require into bracket mongoose. Require into bracket mongoose. Then I'll come and do const. Now I'm going to create a variable here, like let me call it task schema equals to new, and then mongoose dot schema. It's actually the database now. So from here, I'll put like that. So the first thing we had, like, it's the first name. So this first name is going to be a string. So what is the type? Now you are mentioning the data type. So it's going to be a string. And then you talk of required is true. So you'll have the second name. Let's talk of this. Paste it. So this one is going to be the last name. Type is string, required true. Then we have the gender. Let's see, gender, type was string, required is true. So if these are the last one, then we need so this is actually like mapping the data types. You're trying to map the data types. So you'll find that since we have this, I think I'm going to put like that. Yeah, so that this one can map the first one here. So we have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, then we also have this one. Okay. So here I'm going to open and then talk about timestamp. Equals to true. So it's going to be, yeah, just like that. Then the same thing, module dot exports. equals to mongoose dot model into brackets. So one, we need to have the task, and then we have the task schema, task schema. Yeah, so I think we have almost everything now ready. So let's go to the task or to the index. Now let me check my database first of all, whether it's still on. Okay. Now let me go to the server. I want to terminal. And then this time around, I want to do the node index.js. Let's see. So remember here we were using what? Port 3000. We're using port 3000. So here it's giving us an error, app is not defined. So app.engine, okay. So let's come here, and that is why we're having some issues here. Let me have here .engine. Let me repeat it again, sorry, engine. Let me repeat it again so that you can see. Okay, so we have this error here. So we are talking about the app is not defined. Okay. So I think we are missing something here. So let me come and adjust. So below this, I'm going to create a const, another variable app equals to express. And then like that. Yeah, I think now everything is going to be fine. Okay. So let me just be, okay, sorry. So let me clear. Then talk of node, then index.js. Let's see another error now. Yeah, perfectly. Now you can see that we have the server has been started on port 3000, connected successfully to MongoDB. So this is actually the port number we want to use. So I'll go here and then do localhost, 3000, and press enter. Now, so if here it means that we are getting a field to look at view index in views directory, founder, okay, blah. Yes. So there's still a lot to be done here. We are not yet done, but let this one be the first one. Probably the second part of this is going now to be a completion of this particular point. So you can now see that we've used the MongoDB plus the Node.js and plus the Crud. But remember, one of the Crud we've tried to implement here is actually the hard. So we want first to see how to hard, and then we'll come out to edit, and then we'll come how to delete. So the best thing is that our server is now running, that we're able to connect to the database, we're able to connect to the server. Yes, so on part 2 of this, it's going to be a completion now of the Crud, or understanding now of the whole Crud in using Node.js and MongoDB. So thank you, and see you on the next tutorial.